This is week 33, and I'm going to go through that home assignment sheet. It's a little bit different looking this week, only in that I made all the brand new activities in bold. The improvisation is different from the improvisation warm-ups that you have been working on for the past 2 weeks. These now go a step further, and I'm asking the children to create completely different answers to the question being put before them. So I want to demonstrate this. So first you're going to go and you're going to open up your practice CD, which I'm going to do right now. So for me, I've got it in my iTunes, and that's a great place to have it if you have something that's close enough for them to do that. I have it well marked. These are my practice CD. And I see my improv warm-ups. Now I see something that says Improvisation One, and that's important. It says Improvisation One, Improvisation Two, Improvisation Three. And each one is going to expand a different, something different. So I want to talk about that. Let's go through Improv One.
Improvisation One in D major, using 1 and 5/7 chords. I will improvise.
So already he's telling you that we're in the key of D major, so that means that their hands are going to be in the key of D major, and that's the feeling that they're looking for. And they could do a warm-up. But this won't really cover what they need, because they also need to know that one chord, the do, mi, so, one chord, and the T, fa, so, 5/7 chord, which they were practicing in the warm-ups. However, they did it in C. They didn't do it in D. So again, we're looking for them to use this information and to generalize it into different key centers. Here it is in the left hand. There's the one chord, T, fa, so. There's the 5/7 chord. And so in C, when they were going to the 5/7, they went down to a white key. In D major, they have to slide in and find the key that's closest. And if you look at the piano, you'll notice that from here to here, there's a key in between. From here to here, there is not a key in between. So the note that is T is a white key in C, but in D, it's the next key over, which is a black key. So that's part of how they adapt. All right, let's move on.
On a chord, and leave time for you to improvise on the same chord. I will improvise.
So when they're saying that they're going to improvise on a chord, it means they're using the chord tones. They're using any combination of these three sounds if it's the one chord, and it's these three sounds if it's the 5/7. It's up to the children to listen and decide what the improviser is using. So they don't tell you, I'm now improvising on a one chord, I'm now improvising on a 5/7. That's their step to go and find it.
Improvise on the one chord, improvising in the right hand.
So for Improvisation One, they're only using their right hand, and they're going to do it in the space provided. Okay, you hear that one chord, you heard this. And then you hear, when they hear that sound, that's when they're responding. And they're going to respond with some combination of those three notes that are part of the chord that they heard. So, and they're going to respond right now with the sounds. And they answered over that chord. And they answer over this chord. That's it. Now, they're going to move on to number 2.
In D major, using
D major,
1 and 5/7 chords.
Same thing.
I will improvise on a chord and leave time for you to improvise on the same chord.
Same thing.
This time, I will play in triple meter and start with the one chord.
All right, so what's different? Well, they're still improvising with the right hand. What's different is that they're using a different meter. So in Improv 1, they were using the do, day, do feel. In Improvisation 2, they're using the do-dotty feel, which they call triple. So their answer may sound like... Now, I don't expect all of the children to respond exactly with the same meter. However, that's what we're aiming for. Let's jump over to number 3.
Improvisation 3 in D major.
Same
using
key.
1 and 5/7
Same
chords.
chords.
I invite you to improvise with me in duple meter with the melody in the left hand.
All right, so now the change is now the left hand gets to play around. So it says duple meter, so it's going to be some sort of do day. And when they hear that chord, they will be improvising with the left hand. Or they might do... Now this takes quite a while for them to listen and then respond with the same sound. They've got to be doing this every day. So put it on, let them go for it. And whatever they come up with is what they come up with. This is not time for you to say, oh, you did it on the wrong chord. Oh, you're in the wrong place. Just let them go through it and say, oh, I'm so glad you finished your improvisation, and move on to the next thing, which I wrote to be the C, G, and D major scales. Hands separate, so that means that, for instance, if they're doing the G scale, all they have to do is play the scale with that fingering, and the other hand as well. Both hands get a chance. And then they move to the next key. It does not take long to do. Okay, they've got a new piece. It's called Deb Kahora. Now, you know that's not really a new piece. It's a familiar melody that they've heard for over a year. It was the first piece that they played, la 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 la, with open fifths. And for some of the children, they might be where they're still at. That's fine. But for some of the other children, and hopefully for all of the children, they're all going to start working on Deb Kahora. So I'll put the music right in front. Now, when they're prepping this piece, the temptation is to go from the beginning to the end, hands together. But we know that's the least efficient way to practice, and we talk about this in class. They have to establish that the key is in E-La. So that means they're going to do a warm-up in E-La. La, ti, do, re, mi, re, do, ti, la, mi, la. And they could do it with the left hand as well. If you look through the piece, there are no chords, just like Let Us Chase the Squirrel. In fact, there aren't any. And what I did in class was first I introduced the right hand part here. I didn't start at the beginning because it's la, ti, do, re, re, la, ti, do, re. And it starts on la, so I thought that would be a nice place for them to begin. And it's an easy motion moving up. And of course, we discovered the staccatos. The left hand does the same thing with almost an answer. La, ti, do, re, do, ti, la. And so that's a wonderful way for them to get started by doing the right and then the left hand answer. When we get to the first line, we immediately notice that both hands are playing the same thing. And I help them to discover this, that they have the same rhythm, they're both going down, and then they're going up, and they're going down. You know, they're following the same route, and we call this unison. So both hands are going to be playing mi, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, re, do, ti, la. But they may not be able to do that the first week. They may or maybe only play it with the right hand, and then maybe they could play it with the left hand. That's okay. In fact, it could be kind of fun where you could do the right hand part and then follow along with this, and then repeat with the left hand part and then follow along with this. And then the last time, both hands could play it and follow along. So these are arrangements we can make to make this piece longer. But they have a good week or two to get this, and they know what it sounds like, so it should not be that difficult for them to actually play this piece. We move down, and the next thing says Billy Billa by ear, and they all had it, I have no doubt. The hard part now is talking your student, talking your child into realizing that they've got to play it every day. Because just because they can play it last Thursday doesn't mean that they can play it today. they don't remember. And so for some of the children, just going to the piano and playing Billy Billy once or twice may be enough for them to keep that piece maintained. For others, they may need to actually review the patterns, or they may want to add chords that would accompany it. And these are wonderful ways that they can fool around with the piece. Also, it says to play a favorite piece from Book 2, and of course that means opening up Book 2 and finding any of those reading pieces or by ear pieces. They could pick a favorite that they play well, or they could pick a piece that they have never gotten around to and they could learn it. Both are fine. Finally, that's it on the piano. That shouldn't take more than 10 to 15 minutes a day, but please don't put on the timer. You can check them. Maybe one day they could do one thing and another thing another day. It depends on your children. Now they have to go and listen. They're going to listen and drum along to the Kolomaika. Now you may be in the car, and they are welcome to drum along their car seat or on the back of your chair or with their feet, or they can drum on their laps. What's most important is that they're listening and they're enjoying it. Then they have the triple rhythm game, which is the same as last week. So if you didn't get around to it this week, you get another week. If you did get around to it last week, do it again. This is part of mastery, is taking this game and playing it again and again. How do children get better at things? By repeating things. And turning it into a game makes it more fun. Most important at the bottom, we have a writing exercise, and it says writing and answer composition on page 12, and here I have it. Now this is an extension of improvisation. You'll see written out is do, mi, mi, so, mi, and they're asked to respond with an improv. They have to use chord tones only, so they can only use the do, mi, or so. They're not copying. They're putting something different in here, but it must be either a do, a mi, or a so, and there are the chord tones if you're not sure. Same thing over here. We have a 5/7 chord, so, fa, so, and then over here they might write ti, fa, so. Now, notice it says to use the same rhythm. So if this rhythm is do, day, do, the answer has to be do, day, do. So it might be so, mi, so, do. Down here we have do. So there'll be 4 quarter notes in here. So, fa, something like that. And then the last one is do, day, do. And this one will be so, mi, and the last note has to end on do, and many times I will write it in to remind them, and it will be a half note just like this. All right, that's the work at the piano this week. All that work is going to bring satisfaction and fun. I hope that they get to the piano every day.